two young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man. This week we watched Heretic.
Hello?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Quite literally. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. We watched a religious film today.
Yeah, so whichever god.
Yeah.
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 Whichever god you identify with.
Called Heretic.
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 We did watch Heretic. We watched Heretic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we watched Heretic. It's directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, two directors.
Oh, okay.
I am not familiar with their work.
No.
I'll probably look more into it. They'll probably release some other stuff. I mean, this movie was good.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Well made, so I'm hoping that they'll make some more stuff. It is starring Hugh Grant, surprisingly, in a horror movie. But unsurprisingly, yeah, unsurprisingly, he's good at being creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sophie Thatcher, who is in Yellow Jackets. She's in Companion.
That was good.
She's such a good horror actor, even in like the few things she's been in. So I hope to see her in more stuff like this. She's very good. Chloe East is the other Sister Paxton.
Yeah.
She's also very good. I'm also not familiar with her work, but she was very good in this movie.
Yeah.
Her character makes a switch at some point, and it's very good. And randomly, Topher Grace from that 70s show, who was never advertised for this movie ever.
He's in it for like 30 seconds.
Like literally maybe a minute, if anything. And I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and then I didn't fully recognize him in the church. But then when he goes, there's the scene where he goes to the door and he opens it, and I'm with this person, and I'm like, that's Topher Grace.
Yeah.
Is he it? Why is he in this movie? It was like non-advertised at all that he was in this movie, but he did a good job for the minute that he was in it. So
yeah.
It's pretty good.
So, I guess we're starting with the synopsis.
Yes, we are going to start with a synopsis. This does get into a lot of religious stuff, so trigger warning.
So, I mean, I think a lot of us have religious trauma, so...
Especially if you're in the gay community.
Yeah, myself included, so
Same.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, like, I was fairly sympathetic to his character up until a point.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure...
I was like, I wanna just talk to people like that captively.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have some weird relationship with the church. So.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You are incorrect.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the film opens with picture two Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton.
Yes.
They are sitting and discussing pornography since Paxton watched a video and felt bad for the actress in it.
It's so funny too, because they start talking about she's like, did you know that Magnum condoms are just the same size? They're just lying to you with marketing and stuff. As it pans back and they're sitting on a bench advertising condoms.
Yeah, it says, like, what does it say? Size.
Who says size doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, then she gets into the weird, conversation of like, yeah, I was watching this homemade porno movie.
It was like a homemade kind of
pornographic
movie.
Yes.
Yeah, she was like saying things very like, pornographic movie.
She's like, and they're yelling and screaming, and then they get somebody next door being like, we can hear you. And she's like, the look of just shame on their faces. Like, it was very, like, religiously affirming for her that these people... Yeah. She's like, you see her soul leave her body. And she's just totally gone as a person. Just like, oh my God. Like,
and then the actress says, but I'm glad they can hear. Or something like that.
Oh yeah, she's like, yeah, the actress said, I'm glad they could hear me, and you could just see, but you can see on her face the shame and everything. She's like, it was very just affirming that like God is always watching
Yeah.
and stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God. Which is rightly asked by Sophie Thatcher's character, do you watch pornographic movies often? She's like, no, no.
I don't know anything about that. So I have no place to talk from because I have never seen pornographic content.
You've never seen
before.
pornographic
Never
content?
seen it.
You are very
seen it.
pure and chaste.
Never seen it.
Yes. I, on the other hand, am a demon. So that's all I watch. Just kidding.
That's all I
Constant loop in the house, on in the background while I'm playing video games.
It's not like a circuit party. Just always on my.
I'm not like in the circuit party. I just hire people to have a circuit party outside the house at all times, just so it's there. I don't have the body for a circuit party.
They go around town trying to watch it. They go around town trying to talk to others for conversion. On the street, they spot some teenage girls who play a mean prank on Paxton by pulling down her skirt to see if she has on magic underwear.
Do you have on magical underwear? Is it true?
I have a very polarized opinion of Mormons myself.
Yeah.
I don't like.
If you are Mormon watching this, we're not going to apologize.
I'm not apologizing because it's weird and it's weird. It's a weird cult.
It's
okay?
almost culty.
It's not almost culty.
It's very culty.
It's very culty. I refuse to acknowledge a church that didn't acknowledge black people as human beings until fairly recently. And
oh yeah, didn't they like place them in a lower level of heaven and
yes,
like polygamy?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. I have an issue.
Yeah.
Just
sister wives.
I got an issue with the whole thing. I'm not gonna be like, oh, believe what you want. I mean, not that. I'm sorry.
But please don't.
Don't.
The guy was reading stones that he put in a hat that he claimed to have dug up somewhere.
It's just all a bunch of. Yeah, it's all a bunch of like very weird cult leader crap,
like, not to fully agree with South Park, but you know what I
mean. I agree. Anyway, Paxton also talks to Barnes about how people mock their religion, like I just did.
Also, really quick, isn't Joseph Smith the whitest name you've ever heard?
It really is.
It's just
Smith.
Basically John Smith.
Yeah. Paxton also talks to Barnes about how people mock their religion.
Yes.
But Barnes doesn't seem too bothered by it.
No, you can tell, and this is why I like her character a lot. So I do like Sister Paxton because she's kind of like the performative version of it. Yeah. Like, she's playing it up so hard. And
she is.
And you can tell a lot of it is performative because maybe she's like...
I mean, some of it is, but have you met the kids that
seriously.
Go around trying to convert people?
But I feel like part of that is because you're kind of trying to convince yourself to believe shit.
Well, yeah.
So you play it up.
Yeah.
So with Sister Barnes, Sophie Thatcher's character, it's like... And she says later on, like, she's from Philadelphia and all this stuff, which we'll get to, but... You can tell that she's still very unsure about everything. She's not fully on board. She's still questioning everything.
Yeah.
And she's just not at the same level as her other sister, who's just like...
Full tilt.
Full guns going for it. Like, gung-ho. And, like, it's adds a little more depth to their dynamic.
Yeah.
And her character.
Yeah.
Which is good. And to the story, to be honest,
yeah.
with the way the story goes.
Yeah. You know, we did have some Mormon kids that lived in this like apartment complex that I live in.
Yes.
And
which we will not name.
Yeah, no. But they I guess they take the doors off of all the doors off of the hinges,
the bedrooms,
and they put them outside so that there's like total accountability for each other. I guess so you don't touch yourself or something. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
I mean, other than the whole like maybe touching yourself thing, privacy is just nice.
It is, but I don't think they believe until you're a certain age, you know, or something. I don't know.
That's a lot.
I don't know a ton about this so I'm not an expert on Mormonism. But what I do know is enough to make me not want to know.
No,
So I'm just leaving it.
100%. The one word I will say is soaking. And that's all I need to know about it.
Oh, yeah. I know what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So yeah, they're out converting, and as it starts to rain heavily, the ladies arrive at the home of an Englishman named Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed.
Played by Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Again, very, like, known for romantic comedies.
Yeah, yeah. I saw, they make fun of that on Bob's Burgers. I think they're watching a romantic British comedy.
Oh, it's supposed to be.
And the guy's like,
That's supposed to be Hugh Grant.
Yeah, because he did used to do that.
Oh, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird seeing him in a horror movie.
Sort of. Honestly, he just seemed to fit right into this.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, he did a very good job.
That's not something I say often about Hugh Grant.
No.
And that's not just because I don't think he's like. I mean, there's probably some people out there that think he's a terrible person.
Oh yeah.
I've definitely heard stories about, especially from actresses who just like do not.
It seems like he's just a very grumpy Englishman to me. Like when I hear the stories,
kind of a dick.
It just seems like he's kind of a grumpy English guy. You know,
Yeah.
It's kind of a
who likes to have things his way and likes not to be told what to do.
Yeah, there are certain like caricatures within British culture that exist.
Yeah,
like that grumpy old British guy, or like just certain stereotypes do exist.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's why there's always one of those characters in every like Agatha Christie book. So you know what I mean? Because these people exist.
They do exist.
Actually. And the eccentric, which there's many eccentric people in Britain, but
the eccentric
the
eccentric ones are like hilarious. It's just funny.
They're great.
But yeah, he does a good job in this. He does a good job in this for. Yeah.
There's nothing.
Maybe there will be sometime.
Maybe there will be occasionally.
Fake blood, He does a good job in this, despite it not being a romantic comedy, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's all I've seen him in before, or know of, because I've never really seen it.
It's the same.
I've seen parts of them.
The only movie I think he's done recently that he got backlash for was Willy Wonka with Timothée Chalamet as Wonka. It was supposed to be. It was.
I never
Wonka
watched
movie.
that.
I didn't either.
I never watched.
But Hugh Grant plays the Oompa Loompa.
Why?
CGI in it when they could have just hired, I don't know, little people actors to play these parts.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not casting him as anything else, but you should be.
Or used one Indian guy 1,000 times, like in Tim Burton.
Oh my God! I've read the Tim Burton one was that one.
I know his last name is Deep. I can't remember his first name, but yeah,
copied him a bunch. Just like do what the original did, and hire those people, because you're not hiring those people for anything else when you should be.
Yeah,
you might as well give them roles that they like were characters that are actually that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
God, it's like the whole trans actor thing. Like, you don't hire them for anything else, but you still won't hire them to play trans characters.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
That guy that played the Oompa Loompa in the Tim Burton version, he is in a million things that you would have no idea he was in. I remember looking at it.
I think it was like being in a lot of stuff, but I've never seen any.
Tons of stuff in there. Like, oh my God, that was him. Yeah. Anyway, look him up. I can't remember his name. They start to discuss their business with him, or their religion with him, as it should say.
Yeah.
And he invites them inside. They only agree when he says that his wife is in the house, as another woman must be present for them to enter.
Yeah, I think it's a main rule for female.
It's like a
Mormon missionaries.
It seems misogynistic, but also it's a little for their safety.
It's kind of smart.
Yeah, it kind of is smart.
It is a little misogynistic, but it's also like, two young women entering the home of an older man.
Yeah.
And like obviously it'd be safer if another woman's there.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Which it would be. I
love that she doesn't assume that he's a wife though. And right off the bat she's like, do you have a female roommate? Like, do you have a roommate?
Yeah, she's like,
he's like, I've got a wife.
He's like, see, that's why you confused me, because
I haven't had a roommate.
It's almost also I'm tangential. I just think it's sort of a misogynistic. It's a viewpoint of like, make sure that, I don't know. It's sad that you have to make sure that there's like another woman in the house because men are just assumed
Oh yeah,
that they're probably gonna rape them, and
I'm
it's
sorry.
sad that it's true.
It's sad that it's rightly so.
It's sad that it's rightly so.
That like you have to worry about men being creepy.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Reed tells them that his wife is baking a blueberry pie.
Actually, well, because she's like, can you guess what the pie is?
Yeah, can
and
you
she
guess
says
what kind of
blueberries,
pie
so he's like, yeah, exactly. Because like, what if she has anything else?
I don't know.
Does he have a candle for that?
He puts out a different. He just puts a different candle.
Peach cobbler.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that in a second.
If you haven't seen this, which if you're listening or watching this, you probably have seen it.
I hope you've seen it.
I hope yeah. But
if you haven't watched it, it's good.
Yeah, you should watch it. I'll get to my opinion on it later. But Reed sits the girls down and chats with them on subjects such as religion, as he has done his own study on Mormonism as well as a million other things.
Like literally a million other things.
He owns a copy of the Book of Mormon.
His is fancy too.
His is fancy. It's all dog-eared and bookmarked.
She's like, you read this more than we do.
Yeah. We should be more like you.
And I will tell you, as somebody who's had friends/family members who are the kind of people who've read the Bible so they can argue with you as an atheist, because they are atheists, so they read the Bible so they can specifically argue with you as an atheist. The dog-ear thing makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And people who are arguing for, who have read the Bible, they really don't have a leg to stand on most of the time, because most of the stuff.
And my friends are atheists, so they're arguing against, using the Bible to argue against, which is crazy.
Yeah, the stuff that's in there is positively batshit. So
some of it is just batshit. Like, it's crazy because like you get the passages that are like, okay, this is like, help each other. Be there for each other, be nice to each other, and I'm pretty sure most religions have that in the book somewhere. Yeah. But then a lot of it is batshit insane.
Yeah, I mean...
I accidentally grew crops next to wheat, so you gotta stone me to death.
Yeah. And, there's guys with donkey dicks in it, too, His genitals were the size of donkeys.
I love it when people are like, you shouldn't say that, church, whatever, and it's like, it says prostitute and whore and everything else in the book. Like, what?
Anyway, Reed,
books by men.
Yeah, I know. He's discussing a bunch of other topics, and then he starts getting kind of pointed with each girl. Discuss how Sister Barnes' father passed away from, it's ALS here.
Yeah, ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's disease, yeah. Okay. The funny thing is, though, she says Lou Gehrig's disease, and he thinks, or he tries to make a joke, whereas, like, oh, you said blueberry disease. Ah, ha, ha, ha.
Because he thinks he heard blueberry
disease.
Because of the pie. And he's like, I thought you were making a joke.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Your dad's dead.
Dad's dead.
Dad's dead.
Dad. Yeah, Roseanne. Like, I hate Roseanne, but the show was fucking funny. I'm sorry. But
the original show, yeah.
And Laurie Metcalf, Jackie.
Oh, yeah.
There's that one episode where she's on the phone trying to say, like, her dad is dead to some aunt or whatever. Yeah, she can't hear. So,
Dad's dead.
Dad has passed away. Dad has passed away. He's dead. He's dead. He's fine. He sends his love. I love that. Okay. Okay, sorry. They specifically don't want to discuss Taco Bell because he asked what their favorite fast food is.
Oh yeah, she's like, we don't discuss Taco Bell.
Yeah, we don't discuss.
And it's like very serious for a moment, and it's like
so
you don't know
serious.
why. She brings it up later, but you're like, you don't know why for a second, and it's like, okay, is that like another rule in the Mormon Church? We don't discuss Taco Bell.
Well, it's funny because like there's a lot of moments in this that are funny at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
and like that's one moment that's kind of funny.
It's funny.
Like, we don't discuss Taco Bell.
Yeah,
because you think it might be like have to do with like
Mormonism.
Being on the toilet after Taco Bell,
or being on the toilet,
or something like that.
Yeah.
Like you think it would be something like that. But anyway,
yeah, she brings it up later, but which we'll talk about. But yeah, in that moment, it's like Sister Meg's doing the crazy tier list of just this place is better than this place is better than this place is better than this place, fast food chain wise.
Yeah.
And it was like Burger King is better than McDonald's, is better than Wendy's, is better than whatever. I can't remember the exact
And that's
list.
what made it funny too, because at first they're like, "Oh, we don't, eat fast food."
We don't.
Really.
He's like, everybody says that.
And then she's like, "Well, this burger's better than this burger, is better than this burger." She like goes off on like all of them.
I just remember reading.
So obviously, yes, she does eat all of that.
I just remember reading the reviews on Letterboxd, and it was like some guy was like 3 out of 5. Crazy fast food tier list.
Because of the tier list. Yeah.
The fast food tier list was insane.
That's funny because I agree with the other girl. Wendy's is the best one.
Really?
I agree with her. It has childhood memories, Wendy's.
Okay.
So that's pretty much why. Setting with your family in those, well, really just my mom, in those sunrooms in
Oh, I forgot about the sunrooms. Holy shit!
It's a whole nostalgia thing.
The one on a street here.
There was one on
the
Bell
city.
Road.
Yeah, it used to have. I think
that's the one we
went. There was one
to.
on Indian School that used to have one.
Oh,
too.
we didn't go this far down
Yeah.
when I was a kid. We stayed way the hell out in the suburbs.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I remember I think the building's still there, and it might be something else now. But I think it still has the sunroom.
Some of them still.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I don't like Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Oh, that's a whole different category.
It is a different.
I'm talking
category.
about burgers.
Okay.
Whole different category.
Oh, for burgers, it's what?
Okay, this show is now.
Oh, sorry.
This show is now just ranking.
Okay, we're pull out a chart that has all of them on it, and we're gonna rate them at A through S.
There's already Watcher already does this.
I know. Yeah.
They already have a show like this, so we can't.
Smosh also does this. Correct?
Yeah. We don't need another one.
For burgers, I'm gonna say In-N-Out or Whataburger.
See, In-N-Out is good.
In-N-Out's amazing.
For burgers?
It is.
Their fries are god awful.
It is. At least you can watch them making them in front of you.
However, Wendy's fries, they're
Wendy's
my
fries
favorite.
are good.
They're my favorite fries.
The thing I will give Wendy's
A lot
too
of
is
people don't like them,
obviously
but I like them.
obviously the Frosty.
That too.
That's the classic. That's
I like
the thing.
everything.
Chocolate Frosty.
I think I like everything about Wendy's because I love the spicy chicken stuff too. I love it.
Plus,
all.
Wendy is a bad bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, she's mother. She has mom right here.
They just proved that was not an actual thing.
I know it's not.
But
I mean,
it looks like it.
It is quite
she's
subliminal.
mother.
It obviously does spell it out.
Mother Ginger. To be exact.
Hey, and she's a redhead.
Yeah, she's a redhead.
And gays and redheads.
Gays and redheads. And
Yeah.
having no soul. No, I'm just kidding. I am gay, just so nobody thinks I'm being homophobe. I'm very straight.
Other topics include how ASL, sorry, ASL, ALS, ASL. Her dad passed away from American Sign Language.
ASL.
Quite sad.
His sign language was way too fast for his
Way
body.
too fast.
Couldn't handle
He
it.
had one of the
just-
aneurysm. Just it was
Did not.
terrible. The discussion grows quietly tense when Reed makes a comment about Barnes' father, as well as the nature of their religion, and then he exits the room. He just mysteriously exits the room first. He doesn't say, "Come meet my wife." That's later. Okay.
No, that is later.
comes back. Okay.
The thing that's weird too is so. I don't know. His house is old, but I've never seen. This is obviously probably just his house. I've never seen a house with lights on a timer.
I have. I've seen the lights on
That's
the
fucking
timer.
crazy.
I've absolutely seen that before.
So your lamps can stay on, but the main lights are on a timer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I've usually seen that in bathrooms, and I
See,
rarely see that in a living.
See, if I'm going to have that makes more sense to have a twist timer for the lights if it's like a bathroom, because if nobody's in there, then it just shuts itself off.
Mhm.
And you don't have to worry about it. A living room?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a little-
I'm sure it exists, but I think it exists for this movie because his house has a lot of things that he augmented
Yeah, his
to
house
trap
is
people in it.
weird as fuck.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the timer is all part of his plan, and so yeah. Anyway, he exits the room. Barnes then looks down at the candle that Reed placed on the table, and she turns it around and it says blueberry pie. So that's where the blueberry pie smell is coming from.
There's no actual pie, it's just a candle.
There's no pie. There's no pie.
There's no pie here.
There's no wife. There's no pie.
You think that wife's back there making a pie?
She's not making no
She's not making a pie. Holy shit.
Barnes and Paxton, they get uncomfortable, rightly so, and try to find a quiet way to leave the house, as they deduce that there is no Mrs. Reed.
I would like to say, before this happens, because I didn't mention it, he does ask them when they first walk into the house, is it okay that the walls and ceiling have metal in them?
Yes.
Now, any normal person probably wouldn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, they're like, okay. They kind of did that. They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, later on you find out it's because it blocks cell phone signal.
Yeah.
So, in order to, like, get him out of the room for a second, whenever they're about to go down the hallway, she says, like, oh, we're getting a call.
Mm-hmm.
And later you find out that can't happen because the house has no signal.
Yeah.
Because of the metal.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because of the metal in the walls and the roof.
Sorry. You know how it will just automatically refresh the page when you're on a weird website like this?
It's porn.
Well, I had the Wikipedia one, which I usually use, but generally the Wikipedia,
they leave out a bunch of stuff.
They leave out so much stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's a bad synopsis usually.
Like,
although it's worked so far, but
I don't want to say my teachers in school were right. Never use Wikipedia as a source.
No, because like that's the problem. Is like we've been doing this, and then we have to add so many things in. We've only had to add a couple things in this one, but yeah. I mean, mind you, any synopsis has to be short. Otherwise, we'd be reading
the entire movie.
So,
which we can read the script. We can take characters if you prefer.
Oh my god, I kind of want to do that. That'd be so fun to read through.
Maybe we should write
the whole thing.
Just write something
with like ridiculous accents too.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
it'd be amazing.
There's no Mrs. Reed. The front door ends up locked.
Yes,
and they have no signal to call for help. They start to make their way toward the back of the house, only to find Reed in his studio, which contains an extensive library.
Okay, but on the way to the study, they're going through the hallway, which is a really good, like, suspense moment, and they see a figure standing in the hallway at the end. It's, like, in a little crevice thing. Terrifying, first of all, and they're like, Mr. Reed? Because they're like, who the fuck is that? And then they get closer to it, and it's a statue.
It's a statue, and I can't tell who it is of. If it's like Zeus or something. It seems like a Greco-Roman sort of statue.
Definitely.
And like I wonder if in the trivia it says what it is, because I really want to know. But I'm sure it means something. Because also there's a shot later where the statue is in the foreground. He's at the other end of the hallway.
Oh yeah.
And you see them both looking at. It's very, like, obviously that was a very composed
composed shot. Yeah,
it's really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, that I loved that shot. Actually, that was my favorite.
If I hadn't mentioned it enough, I'm in love with hallway shots.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because of
great.
The Shining.
Hallway shots are just generally great.
They're so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something about. It's like the 1 point perspective. It's the symmetry. It's the whatever. Yeah. It just makes my brain so happy.
Well, it's so weird because I'm not. Yeah, I feel like it skipped something, but let's just keep going. Well, while they try to politely excuse themselves, Reed tells them there are 2 doors through which they can exit. Behind him.
Yeah.
Basically, he says that they can't go through the front door because the front door automatically locks at a certain time.
Yeah.
And you just can't go out that way.
It apparently is on a timer, and then it automatically locks itself at a certain time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
they're just like, they're like, why would you
do that? He was like, if I knew you were going to be coming in, here this long, I would have pulled the pin, and I forgot to pull the pin, so it just automatically locked itself. But I'm like,
which he could do at any time because he does it later.
Like, not that there wasn't red flags before this, but this would be this is a red flag.
Yeah, and he was like, they do try one of the doors and it goes down. They both go down.
They both go down.
And then he's like, well, you should have noticed that the back of my house is up against a cliff, like by the water.
Like it's on a hill. You have to go down to go
so
out.
You gotta go down to go out. To go out.
Which, I guess, I'm assuming it's both doors lead into the basement.
Yeah.
Right? It's
just they both go to the same place.
They both go to the same place.
But they are marked with belief, and disbelief.
Yes, but
Like
he does
Esther.
get into this before that. Before that, it's the entire talking about.
But we get into that.
Good, okay, because it's like the landlord game and all.
Oh, we get on.
It's like, oh my god.
So he has a diatribe, basically, about Reed then appears to pull out something sinister, only for it to be an original version of the Monopoly board game.
Very original version of the Monopoly board game.
He then begins a lecture to the missionaries about how it is derived from a previous board game called the Landlord's Game.
Which I did not know existed.
No, me neither.
Until I watched this movie.
Reed also applies this to the song The Air That I Breathe by the Hollies, which Barnes and Paxton have claimed to not have heard before. But he knows that they are familiar with the song Creep by Radiohead.
And again, it wasn't until this movie that I knew that Radiohead, quote unquote, ripped off the Hollies.
I didn't know that either.
Air Supply and got sued for it.
Yeah.
And then that later on, Abe says it, Lana Del Rey's song rips off Radiohead, and then Radiohead sues her, which is ridiculous since they already ripped somebody off for it and got sued for it, which has happened a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think I told you that Barbara Kruger example, where she uses the font, that Futura font.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not her original font. Barbara Kruger's an artist who uses text. And it was like that font, she uses the font, and then Supreme takes the font, uses it, and then somebody else used the font later on, and Supreme got all pissed and started trying to sue them. And then they brought up Barbara Kruger, and Barbara Kruger came out and was like, you guys are stupid.
Yeah.
You guys are dumb.
Yeah.
Like, you're fighting over this stupid shit. It's dumb. Like,
amazing.
Yeah.
This is all to establish Reed's belief that all the world's religions are flawed and derived from a one true religion. So it doesn't go in depth as much as I want here.
It doesn't.
Here's a tangent that I knew I wanted to go on right away.
Here's the tangent.
And I'm just gonna sound like an asshole and a douchebag, but he also brings out other Monopoly games to indicate like Islam, because it was like he's like, oh, Judaism is the landlord's game, the original,
and then Christianity was
the original Monopoly,
because then it's just like a rip-off version of it, and then the newer version, Islam, was like
it was like the deluxe edition or something.
It was like the credit card version of Monopoly.
Yeah.
And then Mormonism was the
Bob Ross version.
Like there's like Bob Ross,
the kooky
regional version of religion was Mormonism.
Yeah.
Disclaimer: I'd like to say you can believe whatever you want. We are not here to tell you what to believe.
No,
at all. But just look into things.
Yeah, he does start going off on because it's almost like a spotlight goes to him. And he starts talking about.
I mean, the room they're in is, she mentioned it, is set up like a church. It's set up with pews and what looks like an altar at the front with a bunch of books and everything.
But he starts going into how most Christian stories are derived from pagan stories and early, just very early others, like Mithras, and
it's the mentioning of that every single
Isis and Osiris. And, every single culture has had very similar tales.
Every single culture
of a virgin mother,
from like
Hinduism, dying, coming back from the dead, and like just all these different stories.
Exactly.
Some of which aren't like exactly the same, but nonetheless they are in the collective
genre of
the collective unconscious of human beings.
Where it's like what Horus had the same thing as this Hindu god, as Jesus, as whatever. It's all the virgin.
I mean, if you look at the Mithras story in Roman mythology, it's pretty much exactly Jesus' story. But there are earlier examples too. So,
and obviously a lot of those
all the way back to like Babylonian stuff.
Yeah, a lot of those came before Jesus.
Yeah,
like the Egyptian stuff and everything.
For sure. Yeah, Babylonian became before all of that.
Way before all that. Yeah.
But anyway, he's kind of giving that argument, which one is it? I forget what the girls' names are.
Sister Barnes and Paxton.
Barnes says, kind of starts arguing back in a very intelligent way, that's like,
I love it.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. She's like, well, they're not exactly the same and this and that, and you have to like take into consideration this and that. And,
it was you didn't take in. She's like, they're not exactly the same. You didn't take into account the persecution Jews had, or the Holocaust. religious persecution you didn't take into account the differences. And then she points at Horace and she's like, this guy has a fucking bird
This guy
head.
has a fucking bird head. But also, he was saying that Judaism has the fewest followers of those big three monotheistic
She said
religions
0.2% or something
because they don't advertise as Christianity does. But then she kind of pointed out, like, well, a lot of Jews got killed. So
yeah.
But
she's like, the reason they have only, I think she said literally like 2%, 0.2%,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. She's like, because of the persecution and the Holocaust, you didn't bring any of that up. And you're like,
they still don't advertise.
They don't. I will say Christianity.
He had a point.
And it's not even Catholicism. It's Christianity that fully advertises shit.
Oh, like Protestantism.
Constant
Yeah.
Christianity. And then like Catholicism is like, well, we're kind of the same thing, but we're just back here like...
Catholicism is Christianity. It's Catholicism and Protestantism is the other. Yeah.
Which is weird because Christians persecuted Catholics. I don't understand it. Catholics were persecuted when they first came to this country.
Oh, the
pretty hardcore. The Protestants.
Well, yeah, because there's a
persecuted
huge
Catholics. Yeah,
I mean, look at Ireland.
Just fighting.
Yeah. No, there's a huge.
I'm just like, you guys are literally the same fucking thing.
I think it's weird when Catholics divide themselves from, like, because I have heard that before. They'll say like Christians and Catholics, whereas they're both Christian.
I don't know.
Catholics are Christian too.
My family is.
There's Protestants and Catholics.
My family, I'm not, is Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
And it still feels different than going to the Christian church down the street, just because that one is. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get into this really quick. This is my tangent. Roman Catholic. I feel like it's weird because Catholicism is like the gaudy version. Over the top, Vatican, whatever.
It's like the drag version.
It's the drag version. Yeah. Very much so. I mean, the outfits, honestly, fire.
Oh,
fire. Yeah. But, like, they don't give a shit. And when I mean, read the Bible, don't read the Bible. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you do. We do the new. We're the old. Not Old Testament. We're the old version of the Bible, whereas these guys are the new King James, whatever the fuck. Yeah. We don't give a shit. And like, that's how kind of Catholicism.
Some Catholics are super fucking.
There are very.
Crazy.
I mean, there's extremes and everything.
I think I find that like kind of the old world kind of Catholics are just like
And
they don't really,
even my family, like, they go to church.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about it. My grandma does the whole like.
Yeah.
She has like her ladies group from the church and everything and all this, but they're not like she's not crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it was weird going to like, I was like a friend I used to have, and we would go to their Christian church, and it was this thing called like Awana, and you had to memorize Bible verses and recite it back to the teacher, and you would get little pins for it. Of course, I was good at it, but I was in acting, so I could memorize fucking anything. And the problem I had with it was like Catholics don't give a shit, whereas Christians are like.
Yeah.
Harry Potter. You're watching Harry Potter?
Yeah.
That's of the devil. You're evil. That's like, but like, this friend is being able to play Grand Theft Auto and beat hookers with baseball bats, or kill cops.
That's the hypocrisy.
That's hypocrisy. But watching Harry Potter,
it's all hypocrisy.
Okay. I love like.
We'll get off our soapboxes.
my other little tangent of that is the funniest part of it was like somebody brought up like, yeah, but Harry Potter's like helping his friends and saving the world and saving people, and their argument was like, yeah.
I'm not going to argue for Harry.
No. But he's like,
don't get me to argue.
But he's like, yeah, but he's breaking the rules to do it. And I'm like, that's really your argument?
That's funny.
So you wouldn't break the rules to save the world?
I've been to church I've been in a church exactly 2 times in my entire life.
Oh, lucky you on that one.
Yeah, and I did not grow up with religion. I think it's very much for the better.
Listen, best part of being Roman Catholic in a Roman Catholic family was the theater.
The theatrics.
The pageantry. Oh my god, I guess the church we used to go to, huge portraits of the Stations of the Cross, huge like gold altar background with the paintings of like Gabriel, the angels. Like, it was insane. Was it cool? Yeah, I mean the aesthetic is cool, but
and ripped Jesus. This is all to establish Reed's belief that the world's religions are flawed and derived from like one true religion. He's saying, which he's kind of inventing.
Yeah, he keeps bringing up the one true religion.
He gives the missionaries another chance to go through the doors based on their actual beliefs in God. Barnes argues against Reed's claims before she and Paxton go through the belief door. Basically, to placate him, the other girl was going to go through the disbelief door.
Like,
She's
we
like,
get
okay,
it.
you don't want me
We
to
see your
I get it.
argument.
Okay.
You know, you've made some points. We
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
But
She's like, you're so right. Okay, yeah.
Barnes' argument is basically like, who gives a shit what you think? Do you believe in God? If you still believe in God, then whatever. Let's just go through the belief door. Like, we don't need to do this right now. Like,
This movie at this point becomes an A24 movie.
oh, very, very fast.
It's funny because it's that moment it becomes an A24 movie where it's like, oh, this is like philosophy now, and
yeah.
okay, all right.
Like, it's already creepy up until this point with, like, you know, they're trapped in the house. This guy's being really weird. There are two young women in this man's home, and he's being really creepy, and he's like going into this whole thing. So it's already creepy, but now it gets to horror.
It's a horror, and it's also very philosophical. You know,
it's like very philosophical.
Because she's arguing like we'll go through the belief door because it doesn't matter. It gets very existentialist, where she's like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. Like, whatever we do, it
so
doesn't
let's
fucking
just
matter.
believe it. It doesn't matter to him at all what we do. Yeah. So it's
like,
kind of
basically
like,
he's just being an ass, and whatever we pick, it's not going to matter.
I feel like they were kind of he was God in this scenario.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, which is yeah.
I mean, that comes in later when he tells you what the one true religion is.
Yeah, basically he does say it's God. The door leads Barnes and Paxton down to an underground dungeon with no way out. Reed. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that on the thing, but yeah. Referred to. Okay, sorry. Reed then talks to the ladies through a speaker as a decrepit old woman referred to as Prophet. It's Elle Young. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Walks in holding a messy blueberry pie. She sets it down on a wet table. It's great.
Blueberry pie on a wet table. If that isn't a Saturday night, I'm just gonna...
Yeah, right. I feel like that's a metaphor.
That's a metaphor for
the
something.
Blueberry pie on a wet table. Reed informs Barnes and Paxton that they are about to witness a miracle. He says that the pie has been poisoned and that the woman will be resurrected moments later. And she does start shoveling pie into her face and go face down into the pie.
Yeah, he's like, it's an old family recipe. You know, you got the sugar, the flour, blueberries, of course, the lemon, whatever. And then he's like, I had a little bit of wolf's bane and
a little bit of belladonna.
Which is, who, for those who don't know, those plants are poisonous. Please do not eat them.
Belladonna can be used in certain ways in tiny amounts.
I feel like I have a lot of poisonous plants like them.
But don't do it. But don't do it.
Do not mainline belladonna.
Just stay away from it unless you are a trained herbologist. Okay.
Yes. Or botanist.
Botanist. Yeah, that. Elder Kennedy, which is Topher Grace.
Yeah, Topher Grace randomly. Like, for whatever reason, Topher Grace is in this movie. Not that I'm unhappy to see him.
No.
But it's just hilarious that he was just in this movie and he wasn't advertised to be in it whatsoever.
And he's an elder, which is the youngest people in the church. I don't get that, but anyway.
Elder Kennedy.
I don't understand how that works, and I don't care. Of the Mormon Church has noticed that Barnes and Paxton never signed themselves back in. So he goes out to the houses that they would have visited to ask around for them. When he arrives at Reed's house, Barnes and Paxton try to get his attention by screaming, and then by getting some matches to try and start a fire. Sorry, I like popped this button while I was talking, and I was like, I don't like that.
That's the shot you're talking about. Whenever the knock on the door, and he leaves, and you see the statue and him in the hallway looking at the same area.
Yeah,
the shot.
Yeah,
which is really good. And then you see him open up the light switch, like compartment, and then it has a whole thing with the locks and the timer lock on the door shit. Just to talk to him as they're like trying to scream, but he already shut the door, so nobody can hear them.
Yeah.
But they see the matches on the carpet that they can pull through the door.
Yeah, they start pulling the rug to get the matches. Of course, the match box is too big to fit under the door, so then they have to knock it over and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Not long after, the ladies notice that the prophet has... Oh, sorry. I skipped something. They're screaming and trying to get the matches. Kennedy leaves before they can do anything, though. He convinces him that They're not there.
Oh, well,
Never show
I
up.
wanted to mention too. At this point, we still think that their bikes are on the rack outside.
Yeah, I thought that the bikes were outside. Like, did he not see the bikes?
And the bike lock key is actually in Sister Paxton's coat instead of Barnes, so they realized something was weird.
He put the key in the other coat.
He put the key in the wrong one,
or on purpose.
Yeah.
We don't know. Not long after, the ladies notice that the prophet has seemingly been resurrected, and she begins muttering a description of the afterlife, which I didn't understand. I don't know if I was supposed to. Was it English? I don't even know. I couldn't understand.
Basically, she says like it's like not real, nothing's real.
Oh yeah, and then at the very end, she said it's not real at the very end, and kind of went like this.
Yeah, she went like this.
Yeah.
But I think she said something about train.
She did say, because they talked back about what it.
Yeah.
They said back what she said, kind of. Reed comes down into the dungeon to boast about the miracle and that he is offering to sacrifice one of them and bring them back.
Like, you want to experience this?
I know.
Let me kill you so you can try to resurrect again.
Let's do it.
Just like the prophet. It's like, no, I do love that Barnes is like, I've been asking myself this whole time, knowing that, like, thinking, how is he going to get us to agree to let him kill us? Yeah.
Barnes says she knows that this was no miracle. She tells Reed why she and Paxton don't talk about Taco Bell, which is because Barnes was clinically dead after an E. coli infection and had a near-death experience similar to what the prophet was describing.
Yeah, she didn't talk about Taco Bell because of it, the E. coli outbreak that Taco Bell had, and she ended up having it going into near-death experiences. She said that she saw a bright light, white clouds, all this stuff, and she's like, because we had a similar experience, a near-death experience, not like a full-on dead. She's like, when you're about to die, your brain creates shit in your head because of the chemicals being released in your brain. Like,
which is a similar thing for almost everyone. Which is why, before she can go on, Reed slashes her throat. So she had made a patch with
she had a letter
girl.
opener.
Yeah, gave her a letter opener and said, when I give you what words was it?
Magical underwear.
When I say magical underwear, you stab him in the throat with it. And she said magical under, and before she can get it out, he slits her throat, and before the girl can, stab him.
Yeah.
So she is on the floor, dying, and then he, let's go on. After a few minutes, Reed determines that Barnes cannot be brought back, he says. And then he cuts into her arm, God. This is a horrible scene.
Sorry,
didn't like it because he starts pulling out a vein. It's really gross.
He cuts open her arm, which I could already feel like I could feel, and then he starts rooting around her arm, which and then he pulls it. He's like, "Oh, there it is," and he's like, "Oh, wait, no, that's a vein." As you can see it popping out of her arm, and I'm like, "Oh, please!"
He finds like a metal pin inside,
which is
claiming it to be a microchip.
Yeah.
And Sister Barnes was supposedly never real, nor is any of Paxton's reality. He's saying that, like, she has the microchip in her, so
she can't come back.
Really
she
real.
Can't resurrect. She's not really real. It's blocking
She's
it.
One of them. Yeah. She knows that it's actually a contraceptive device, but
contraceptive you put in your arm.
So she knows what he really did.
And he notices the cut earlier. That's why it's there. He, like, it does a close-up on it because he sees it on her arm earlier.
Yeah. She, starts putting two and two together and realizes she kind of puts together what he actually did.
Yeah.
The first prophet really did die, and the resurrected one was another woman who was given a script by Reed.
Yeah.
To describe the afterlife.
So this is the switch. I love this because she Barnes tells her, like, when he starts doing the theology shit and question him back, argue with him, and she says it under her breath. She's like question him back, fight him, do that, and that's when you see just her personality fully flip.
However, do you know what? This skipped a very pivotal moment. This skipped an entire pivotal moment.
Which one?
Because she goes deeper down into the
that's after this.
Is it after?
It's after this.
I'm not finding it.
It's he does the whole thing with Barnes. She tries to run, and then he starts talking to her about everything, and she
Oh,
starts
gotcha,
questioning him,
gotcha.
and then it comes in after.
Sorry.
It comes in after she says you killed her
Yeah.
and switched it out, and he's like,
Okay.
"Well, where's the body?"
Okay.
Yeah.
Reed did not count on was the woman telling the ladies that it's not real. That was like an off the script thing that she said to them, and he was trying to kind of like backpedal and figure out like, oh, that throws a wrench in my thing.
Yeah.
The second woman switched the dead one with herself while the girls were trying to get Kennedy's attention, and then she's trying to think like, well, there must have been another way for her to get in. Yeah. And he's like, go ahead and look for it, and she finds it on the floor.
She finds a trap door on the floor under the table.
Reed lets her enter it because he says, like, only go in if you are prepared to find out what the one true religion is. And she goes down in there, going through these weird room after room with, like, sigils painted all over the doors and stuff. Like, very, like, hermetic symbols and stuff.
Yeah, because she goes in and she sees the body.
Well, first she sees the
body. She's like, I knew it, or whatever, and she knows that he's just gonna close the door on her, and he does.
Yeah.
And then she goes through this whole hallway of like symbols and sigils and crazy whatever, and then
some religious purpose.
And then into a new room where she finds women in cages.
Lots of cages with women in it who are all prophets.
Prophets in cages.
Yep. Sorry, where was I? Reed tries to taunt Paxton. Basically, he says she figures out like what his one true religion is, and that is control.
It's control.
And he says all religion is control. Yeah. And I'm not going to disagree with that.
No,
because it was many religions were used for control.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not full on the message. It's the way he's doing.
He's not doing it the right way.
Not doing it the right way. But yeah, he mentions like, oh, you still came back here despite the candle and this and this. He's like, the way I set this up is made you come back here, made you do this, made you do this. It's control. It's me controlling you, what you do.
He's like, you didn't do anything that you didn't.
Didn't like agree to
do.
Yeah. What I love too is like because he has a room in between the staircases, which is where that puzzle version of his house is.
Yeah.
And he has he literally has a top down version of his house, and he's placing the pieces where everybody is. Mm-hmm. I honestly I love it. I honestly wish they would have used it more.
Me too, but then again, I've seen this before in movies where there's a model of where they are, and
The Shining did this thing with the maze. Yeah, it's kind of a reference to that.
I've seen these before, but I mean, it was cool.
It was cool
for sure.
Yeah.
Reed tries to taunt Paxton by saying all this stuff, and she stabs him in the throat with the hidden letter opener that Barnes gave her.
Which is funny. It's because they're talking, and he ends up saying the words "magical underwear," and then he stabs her. Then she stabs him in the throat.
Yeah,
that's the code word.
It's the code word, and also it is a control.
Yeah.
She runs for an exit, but doesn't make it far before Reed stabs her in the gut with
box cutter.
With a box cutter. It says letter opener here again, but it wasn't. It was the box.
His was definitely a box
that he
cutter.
slit her throat with earlier. As they both start to bleed out, Reed says a prayer for both of them.
I don't like that it skipped that. Because he says, say a prayer, and she's like, prayer doesn't work.
Yeah, she said prayer doesn't work.
Like, have you never heard of the Great Prayer Experiment where they had they had patients on one side of the hospital who were prayed for and ones that weren't, and they...
It goes through this.
Yeah, because it looked like it skipped.
I know.
These things skip things, and I don't know.
She says praying doesn't really do anything. But the important part of it is people saying something in kindness to other people.
Yeah, it's one of those prayer itself doesn't really work. They've proven that it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But it's nice to do that and have somebody in your thoughts other than yourself as you're thinking of somebody positively and sending positivity towards them and all that. That's true. That's still nice. If somebody says they're praying for me and it's like a positive thing, like, oh, you're going through this medical thing, I'll pray for you, whatever. It's like, that's nice. Like, I may not be religious, but that's still nice.
Yeah.
I'm in your thoughts, whatever. Not exactly thoughts and prayers, as in we're not going to do anything to help anything, just thoughts and prayers. Yeah. But if somebody's saying you're going through stuff, I'm going to be there for you and I'm going to pray for you. That's it's nice.
Yeah. She also says something about I don't know, praying for everyone, or something like that. basically like including him, even him. Like,
Oh yeah, she was like having
Yeah.
somebody else in your thoughts, like instead of yourself, even somebody like you,
yeah, even someone like you.
even somebody like you.
Yeah.
Which that's a big religious thing. Like,
Yeah.
we're just gonna forgive, and it's like sometimes maybe you shouldn't.
In this instance, maybe not.
Yeah.
She starts to pray while Reed crawls over to her, and he puts his head on her chest, like crying, but then he's actually trying to finish her off, I think.
He like goes there and they have like a moment, and
They
then
have, like, a
then
moment.
he holds up the box cutter to
But
like
then
cut her
he
throat.
gets whacked in the head with a plank of wood with nails sticking out of it.
I had a joke for this. The second it happened was because they were trying to get out, and Sophie Thatcher knocks down a board that has nails sticking out of it. And the second she uses it and hits him in the head, I was like, oh, "It's the Chekhov board with nails."
It was a Chekhov gun.
It's the Chekhov board with nails.
Because she does take it down like they're gonna use it,
and then they use
sets
it later,
down, and then they use
and then it's used later. So before she, I guess, dies, she ends up getting him off of her.
Yeah, she managed to like get the strength to just like whack him in the head, and then she dies. But it's you could call that like a Deus Ex Machina ending, which is, if you're not familiar with it, it's
the God Machine.
Yeah, it's a Greek play element wherein at the very end a god just shows up and goes, and just kills like the bad guy, and then we're like, hey, yeah. It's just basically a god intervening and just like changing the entire, you know, plot, like making an end, you know, to the play.
Yeah.
Which it kind of was in a way. The blow was dealt by Sister Barnes, who lives long enough before collapsing into Paxton's arms. Paxton finally manages to find a window to escape from, and it's now morning, and it says the storm is cleared up, but it is snowing still.
Yeah.
She sees a butterfly land on... Here's the very A24 moment. She sees a butterfly land on her hand, and as she had earlier stated that she would like to come back as one when she dies.
Yeah, she said when she dies, she would love to come back as a butterfly, and she specifically said land on somebody's fingers and their hand, not on their head.
Yeah.
Not on whatever.
Yeah.
On their fingers so they know that it's me.
But then the butterfly just disappears.
It
wasn't really there.
No, she's losing blood and hallucinating.
Yeah. And then it ends.
Yeah, then it ends.
I will say there is a shot where she is escaping the basement, and it goes to the model house where she's actually running through the model house. I love
that shot so much.
When she gets to the door that open it, she comes through the actual door. It was
it's like going up the ladder to get out, and then it pans up, and then you see the model from top down, her coming out into a hallway, running through the hallway in the model, and then it pans up as she's opening the door into the room, and it's just so cool. It's just that I love that shot so much.
It's very good.
Well,
that is the movie, and
yeah.
I guess it's time for Trivia Corner.
Trivia Corner.
Trivia
Add
Corner.
in graphic later. Yeah, I had a few on here. One it actually came out when this movie first came out, was that Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East were both raised Mormon.
Oh, really?
So they were able to give valuable insight into the religion when shooting the movie. They are no longer Mormon.
Well, yeah.
They left the church and all that stuff.
Most people who have like done something are usually they left.
Yeah. They were both born into Mormonism and left, but they were able to obviously play these characters pretty well based on the fact that they had been in that situation. Apparently persuading Hugh Grant to take on the role of Mr. Reed took 4 months. Because the actor kept emailing the directors back and forth asking questions about the character, but it took them 4 months to convince him to do it. Even though he once stated in an interview he's getting bored of playing obvious roles and being typecast. So when the directors saw this interview, they wrote the character of Mr. Reed with him as the top choice to play him. Because they were like, let's give him something else to do than just rom-coms and... Apparently Oompa Loompas. Oh, he actually got a Golden Globe nomination for this movie.
Oh, really? Oh.
It's his 7th nomination.
Oh.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
In order to keep Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East on their toes and engaged in the scene, Hugh Grant would improvise and change lines like the moment Mr. Reed mispronounced Angel Maroney's name, which caused Chloe East to improvise and correct him.
Oh.
So he would randomly switch lines around and change them just to keep them
Yeah.
on their toes a little bit and keep them
Oh.
going, which is kind of cool. It does keep you in the scene,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're sitting there like correcting him. It's like, oh, he's messing around, improvising. That's actually a good.
It is.
It's a good tactic.
It is. It kind of reminds. I don't know. I feel like a lot of male actors and directors kind of. They come off as, especially him, especially Hugh Grant. They come off as being kind of like, what is the word I'm looking for here? I want to say pedantic, but like
high-and-mighty.
Yeah, I mean, like infantilizing the women and being like, what I mean?
I mean,
like, I'm going to do this to keep you on your toes.
Right. I mean, I think that for this, it was more to just keep it naturally.
I don't know.
But I don't know with him, to be quite honest. This movie was actually shot in chronological order.
Wow.
That makes sense, actually.
It makes sense, and a lot of people...
The part of it that doesn't make sense is when they have to cut to Topher Grace's character outside the house in chronological order.
Yeah.
But everything in the house makes sense to film it in chronological order.
Yeah.
Like, if they had to stop here and then go film his thing in chronological order, it's a little crazy. Apparently the end credits, I didn't actually see it, but apparently the end credits feature the statement, no generative AI was used in the making of this movie.
Okay.
Which is good. Stop using AI for shit. It's terrible. I'll get off that soapbox right now, but I could stay on that for a while.
Do you know what's funny is I'm just looking here. This is trivia. The statue in the hallway, it's weird because people are just having to figure out what it is. But it seems to be a statue of Epicurus, who is a Greek philosopher. Was a Greek philosopher, not alive. Who founded Epicureanism, which I think Epicurean, I think of food, because an Epicurean is someone who's, with food. But it was a philosophy that asserted that that philosophy's purpose is to attain, as well as to help others, attain a tranquil life characterized by freedom from fear and the absence of pain.
Oh my God.
Which is very interesting.
That's crazy.
Huh. He claimed that the world was a result of tiny invisible particles known as atoms.
Fantastic.
I forgot. He's the one that, kind of... yeah, that's interesting. I think, that's why we called them atoms.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
That's interesting.
It's so interesting because that's in some Hindu books as well. That things are made out, and Buddhist things, that things are made out of infinitesimally small particles, which is interesting.
That's
that
funny.
They had some inkling to that, which without knowing, which is interesting too.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, trivia. Trivia not related to the movie.
Not related to the So apparently, I didn't really notice this either, which I should have because it's me. The address of the house is 237, which is the name of the room from The Shining.
Oh. Yeah.
The Shining. If you have seen it, you know how much I talk about this movie. And I'm going to say that we will do this movie at some point, just because
we probably should. Go ahead and do it.
But I could talk forever about that movie because it's the movie that got me into film. So it's the movie. It's never going to stop. Oh God! I mean, some of these are just like
Oh, the matches are... The matches are... I thought that too. The matches are clearly marked as safety matches and will only work on the strike on the box.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
That's so funny because she's trying every single one in the basement on the rock and just can't do it.
The board with the nails symbolizing crucifixion.
The butterfly or moth shown at the beginning of the young woman's experience because she sees a moth fly into the light or whatever. They say here that it's supposed to be a reference to Silence of the Lambs, which also features a twisted man who traps an inquisitive young investigator in his dark labyrinthine house full of moths. Moths and butterflies are symbols of transformation and growth.
Yes.
The thing is, I think butterflies are more a symbol of transformation and growth. Moths are symbols of death.
No, not necessarily.
Really?
It depends on what mythology you're following.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Just as Native American mythology sees owls as death, and
Whereas, like,
somebody else
most
sees
European mythology sees owls as
wise
mystical,
and mystical
wise creatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
which is funny because owls are
depends.
actually really kind of stupid.
they're kind of stupid, but they are really cute.
They are amazing.
They are,
and they are like the quietest hunters. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
More trivia. That's not.
No trivia. That's not related. But yeah, I guess depending. Would be that symbol, but it is, I guess, a little bit of a reference.
The whole movie is full of a lot of
little
symbolism and little things and references. Well, I guess it comes down now to rating. And I think, okay, I'm going to rant for 1 second. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So I don't generally enjoy horror movies that go down the route of either being sad or too, like, thinky. Just because it's like, I want to have, here's my philosophy with movies. I want to have fun when I'm watching a movie. I don't want to feel down or depressed or too, like, in my head after watching a movie. This one struck a decent balance for me, and it was a well-made movie. So I'm torn, but I'm going to give it 4 blueberry pies because it was a well-made movie 4 wet blueberry pies. That it was a well-made movie, and it was fun enough for me because there was a lot of levity in it, especially at the beginning, honestly.
Yeah.
And, it didn't get too dark. It was very, like, religious-y weird, but, like, more mythically,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he talks about Star Wars. I was going to talk about that.
He does talk about Star Wars.
He talks about Star Wars basically following all that plot. And that's also what Joseph Campbell said, that it follows the hero's journey exactly.
Yeah.
So did this movie, which is kind of funny.
That one does. Harry Potter does.
Yeah.
So many.
Because she goes deep down into the, into the bottom of the basement where she discovers the truth, and then and she escapes the dark place, and then it's very. It is the hero's journey too, which is always used. So yeah. If you don't know Joseph Campbell, read some of it.
Look it up, or look him up on YouTube. He's got interviews forever. About
he had The Power of Myth with Bill Moyers, I think. Yes, it's a long interview that's like 6 episodes.
I know what you're talking about. We actually watched that in my mythology class.
Absolutely amazing. When you read his books, some of the things I don't fully agree with. He was a straight man. I mean, it's just some of it I don't fully. It's a little weird in the 70s and everything, but but nonetheless, it doesn't change the bulk of what he's saying.
See, it's funny because whenever a horror movie gets intelligent or sad or whatever, it's just if it's a really good and psychological, it makes my brain like so happy. So like, I am having fun with it.
I get it, and I get how everything has to be like serious and deep now. I'm sorry, I noticed that movies just have to have like some serious deep shit, otherwise they're not good, But I like just ridiculous.
Well, see, and my thing is,
some of the new ones are getting ridiculous again,
they are. Yeah, I'm glad. A lot of horror is like, even the serious ones. A lot of horror is going back to at least having funny moments, campiness, whatever. Because why not?
Yeah,
you don't have to be constant serious.
I think it's because the world is getting worse.
Even this had like funny moments in it of like stupid funny moments and like weird stuff. I mean, even in the beginning they're talking about condoms and they're sitting on a bench that has a condom ad on it.
No, it had enough of those for me. Yeah. For me to give it 4.
Yeah.
Wet blueberry.
And like, I don't need things to be like overly deep. Like, the meaning of this was so fucking deep. Yeah. Like, but like, if it's good, it's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And I also just I just hate myself, dude. I'm just gonna.
What do you give this movie?
I don't know. Originally, when I first saw this, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 because it is really good, but it's not like
it isn't amazing. I almost want to change.
But I'm somewhere in between that and a 4. So I'd probably, if I like had to like nitpick it, it'd be like a 3.75.
Okay.
3 more.
You can do 3.75.
3.75. Like it's close. Or like if I had to put it like a 3.8, let's just put it like an even number, like 3.8.
Yeah. I think I'm generous. I'm too generous with these.
It's really good. This is a really well made movie.
It was
And,
actually very well made, I thought.
I love the story. Hugh Grant did a really good job. Sophie
Yeah.
Thatcher and Chloe East did a really good job. I don't know why my voice cracked there. I'm 32. But yeah, I don't know. It's very well made. I hope to see more from these directors because they are really good at it. And I hope this isn't just like, their one hit thing. Like I hope they actually do more, which I guess I could look that up if they're doing more. But yeah, it's very well made. I highly recommend it, whether you're religious or not. Because honestly, it kind of just both sides.
Not at all.
Yeah. And it's not. The whole thing isn't about like full on like believing in something and shit.
Not at all.
It's pointing out the bad things of some things and kind of doing it the wrong way.
It leaves things up to
interpretation, but also maybe if you're going to do that, do it a different way than kidnapping people in your basement. Argue it normally.
Well, until next time, I will say subscribe,
like, comment, please. Ask us questions. We would love to have some.
They're never gonna.
To answer. They're not gonna.
You're not gonna.
You don't care.
It's fine. It's fine.
But we also have our Instagram, Horror Legend Podcast. If you want to look that up,
Horror Legend Pod.
Yeah. We post trivia on there. We put the next movie that's coming out. We announce when the episodes are coming out. So please follow. I recently did a post about
said Funglo. I'm like,
Funglo.
What do you mean?
I recently did a story about the new Carrie show.
Yeah,
that's coming out.
Yeah,
by Mike Flanagan, who did a lot of Stephen King adaptations, Doctor Sleep and Gerald's Game, and the new one, Life of Chuck, that just came out. His inspirational movie.
I'm not interested.
I'm
sorry.
I'm not fully, but I get it.
Yeah,
but he's doing I think the show of Carrie for HBO. I think it's for HBO.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about that was he actually saw that story when I posted it.
Yeah, he did see the story.
He did see the story.
He
at
least glanced at it.
Yeah, he at least glanced
or
at
his people. I don't know.
But yeah, kind of excited about that. But yeah, like us, follow us on Instagram. We also have a Blue Sky Horror Legend Pod. We post mainly just like when the episodes pop up, we post them on there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate listeners. This is our 30th episode, which is crazy.
Wow.
30th.
Wow.
30.
Damn.
We've hit 30. So, we do this for fun, and we're gonna keep it going as long as it's fun. But yeah.
Well, until next time, I love you very much. And it sounds so disingenuous. I love you all very.
I'm okay with you.
Bye.
Bye.